back to my channels, guys. It's Danny here from our humble home, and today I'm making over two little bedside tables that were gifted to me from a vet and neighbour that lives over the road. She gave me this, and she gave me another makeover I did recently, that white cottage company type of makeover one. Yeah, there were a few things wrong with this, and it just seemed that every step along the way there was something else. The most obvious thing wrong was the split in the top of one of the tables. I did try to glue it while it was still on, but that didn't work, so I soon realized I just have to take it completely off and glue it back together that way. This is my Maxi Nails construction adhesive, which I use for a lot of things. It's really cheap and it's good. It doesn't dry too quickly, and you can sort of maneuver it around a lot. I did also have to buy bigger clamps because I had 30 centimeter wide ones, but I had to get the 45 centimeter wide ones. They were only $19 from Bunnings, which was pretty good, and they'll come in really handy in the future. And I clamped it together and left it probably about 24 hours. I had to, the glue was, once it's on, you can't get it off properly, so I used some white spirits just to wipe that off and neaten it up a little. So I was really pleased with that. I did put a little bit of wood filler in because there were just a couple of little gaps there, and that worked. Another problem with this table were the slides. The wooden slides had fallen out, and one actually was missing. I got another one from another upcycle that I couldn't do, and I sort of took that out. It was a bit thinner, but it worked. This was a problem because you can see there the light color, and I thought, well, that's where the slides will go, so I glued it in there. Then I tried to put the drawers in, and I think I had the wrong drawers in the wrong spaces because it didn't fit. So I took the slides out and I put them in a different position, and at the very end I realized they were in the wrong place. So at the very end I had to reposition them, and it was really annoying. Okay, so you see the circles here where I've circled the little holes. I realized that I'd actually glued the top of the drawer, that arrow there was meant to be in the middle, like that arrow on the end, the side on the end was actually meant to be glued in the middle. And the problem with that was that the side of the drawer actually was a bit uneven, but as I was going to sand them anyway, I thought that's okay. So I just again got my Maxi Nails and I put the drawer on top and I screwed them back in. It didn't lie completely flat. It was really hard to get the screws in, but at the very end I actually got some nails and I hammered them in. This was a really chunky little monkey on these two little tables. They were solid pine and they were quite heavy and good, but they were just chunky and clunky, and the wood had a lot of knots in it, and I just wanted to fill those up. So I filled them up. I used Parfix multi-purpose filler, so you can use it on a lot of different things, but I found that's the best for me. It sets really hard and it's internal and external use too, so it's very good. I did need the sander though to sand it off, which is okay. I know when you're sanding down to the bare wood that can cause bleed through or make it more likely at least, which actually that did happen with this. The first coat of primer I put on, it just turned yellow patchy, so I had to do 2 coats. But Oh, that was okay because I don't mind sanding back like this quite heavily because it does make the surface really smooth and does get rid of any little lumps and bumps. So I didn't mind that at all, and I did the same thing on the drawers too. Just stuff sanding around the edges. Finished. Yeah, so I'll just show you after I've sanded the tops and after I've sanded where I've filled. And I sanded the sides too with the sander because I did wood fill and they've come up good, so the paint's going to stick really well to that. But I decided to prime because I am doing this blue. I was going to do a dark charcoaly sort of colour, and I'll just show you in the light. It needs mixing. But it's a pale baby blue, so I will prime them as well. So I used my primer. I put 2 coats on. Like I said, there was a lot of bleed through the first, and because there was so much, I even thought, well, I need an enamel primer, but I didn't. I put a second coat of this on. I thought I would put a third on if need be, but the second coat covered it really well and stopped the bleed through, and it came up nice and crisp and white. That chalk paint I'd made previously with my talc powder, so it's a chalk paint recipe, and it's my favourite chalk paint recipe. I've tried the calcium carbonate, and while I'll still use that, because lately I haven't been able to find talcum powder. I think they sell at Woolies. I think I saw online that they sell it there, so I'll have to go there. I was using calcium carbonate. I find that to be very rough. The talc powder is, it's so beautiful and thick and creamy and smooth, and it sands down really well in between coats, and it covers really well as well. So I'm just using a lot of that I had left. I used, what did I make with that? My beachy bedside table, and I just love it. And the colour here really doesn't do it justice on the screen. It's such a beautiful pale baby blue colour. I put 2 coats of this on. I could have maybe put a third, because when I'd finished I noticed in parts it was a little bit streaky, but I paint it on and then I will just roll it over. These rollers are just the $2 rollers for a pack of 6. I get at Choice as a cheap shop. I should probably get high density foam ones, but these do the job really well. And I'm using my Magic eraser sponge to get any pen and marks off on the side, because I'm going to put a stencil on. And also these Magic eraser pads are good if you get any paint in places that you don't want there to be paint. It will take it off quite easily. So this is my stencil I made, and I'll put a link to the videos of cutting 10mm Mylar stencil plastic. And I love it. I love this one. I think it's the favorite one that I've made, actually, although I have done a few floral ones. So I'm going to put these on the side of the drawers, and what I do is I just put a little bit of spray adhesive on to hold the stencil down. It helps, I think, with just it bleeding through, and it helps the edges be not quite fuzzy. Yeah, they're a bit more distinct. In saying that though, I don't know whether I should roll on, and I do a light coat of paint. It's not solid. I could have let this dry and do another coat and made it more solid, but I didn't mind. I didn't mind it being subtle. This is just contact paper, blue contact paper I had. Another problem with this is I could not get the screws out from the drawers. I tried everything. I even took the front plate off and it wouldn't work, so I had to reuse these handles. So I painted them and made a little stencil out of my carrier sheet plastic that you peel off your HTV vinyl. So when you do a HTV vinyl transfer for the carrier sheet you peel off, you can make stencils out of those, and I'll put a link up to the video I did. They actually are so easy to do. They're reusable. They're cheap because you've got the actual plastic. You're not even paying for it. It's just something you would throw out. This was tiny. This was only about 2.5 centimeters, but it cut it out so well. And it was very intricate too, and it was just cut it out perfectly. So I thought I would just decorate the front of these little knobs because they were so plain, and put a matching little flower on that matched the side of the inside drawer decal. Just neatening up the edges of the top that I've sanded. You can see there's a little bit of paint, and even though I do tape off, there is always a little bit, well, with me there is always a little bit of paint that just sort of comes through, but it's really easy just to sand that back and to get it off. And this I do before I whitewash. And again, this is a really fine sanding block that I got from Bunnings. It was $1 something. And I just sand that just to smooth the top of each of the tables out. And I wet the top before I whitewash, but this time I'm not whitewashing. I'm using the same color paint that I did for the stencil on the handle. So it's like a brown wash or a tan wash. And I wasn't sure how it would turn out, but I just thought the tan would go nice with the blue, the baby blue color, and also tie in with the little handles, the stencil on the handles at the front too. So it's just a bit of, I think this was a mixture of the Montmartre, if that's how you pronounce it, brown paint, and I also added some white 3-in-1 paint as well to make it this lighter color, and I just added water to make it quite runny. I paint it on and then I wipe it off, and it's just a real cheap way of doing a stain or a tint on the top of your wood. I'm getting to the end now when I'm up to the waxing. So after putting the wash on, I do again just go over it lightly with the fine sanding block, and then I use my glitz beeswax and I put it all over. I put it on the top and I put it on the sides, and it's really easy to do this. You can't go wrong with this. And even though it's yellow, it doesn't tint the paint yellow or the wood yellow either. This is a little $2, how much was it? $2.50, I think. They came in packs of 2, the little mandala wooden cutout, and I think that just makes it nice to put behind the actual little handle. And that's it. So they go from this to this. I still haven't sold them. I'm finding it a bit hard to sell things lately, but thank you, Yvette, for giving me these tables, and thank you guys so much for watching. Come back next week with another makeover, or actually I think I'm doing my last stencil video will be next week. Have a great week. Bye for now. humble home. Thanks for joining me today, because today I am doing stencils, and this week I bought some Mylar, I think it's pronounced 10mm stencil sheeting to make some stencils. These are like what the professional people use and what the stencils you buy are made out of.